All right, we still got folks trickling in, but given you all are the timely ones, and we're looking to have a timely meeting today, I figured I would get us kicked off and get us started. My name is Ryan McCune. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing here at Renovus Solar. What we're going to do today is breeze through a quick little presentation about community solar. The goal here is to familiarize everybody with this new way to go solar in New York State. Traditionally, solar panels had been restricted to backyards or rooftops, and that's how folks have been conditioned to think about going solar and saving money on their utility bills with renewable energy. The reality is that community solar has completely upended that paradigm. And as a result, we have some really powerful options for our clients. And we're going to go through some of those today. So I just want to quickly cover kind of the case for renewable power. The biggest reason why solar power is a viable option for you is that it's more or less free. Obviously, solar systems cost money, but the solar resource out there is free. It's flowing every single day. We have over 5 billion years of abundant power ready, and that is power that's useful in a lot of different ways. It obviously powers everything on our planet, but it's more than enough to supply the entire world's energy needs for a year. Every single hour, enough sunlight hits the planet to supply all our entire energy needs as a population of human beings for the entire year. We just need to tap into that power. So capacity isn't an issue. Folks would say, oh, Ryan, if you want to power all of humanity with solar power, you'd have to cover up, all of Texas. And what the reality is that 1% of the Earth's surface covered with solar panels would meet all of our energy needs. Efficiencies are going up every single year. Costs are coming down every single year. And the reality is a relatively small solar system can meet your personal needs. And, on the broad scale of things, a small solar system would be able to meet all of humanity's needs. Obviously, distributed generation is something that's really important, and it's something that is essential when talking about solar. But we wouldn't need a whole bunch to power our collective needs. So that same holds true in upstate New York. Contrary to popular belief, upstate New York has about 90% of the solar resource of Florida, meaning that over the course of a given year, about 90% of the sunlight hits New York State that hits Florida. And that means that despite cloudy days and all those other things that people associate with us upstate New Yorkers, we're still getting a ton of solar resources that we can cash in on. We as a state get 35% more sunlight than Germany does. Meanwhile, Germany has 16 times more solar installed than the entire United States, which tells you pretty much what you need to know about viability for solar and whether or not it is economically viable if, arguably the richest nation in the European Union is leveraging it so much. So as far as solar for you, there's a couple things we need to answer. Most people say, okay, well, can I do that? The reality is that if you spend more than $100 a month on electricity, ballparked, it's very, very likely that you will save money by going solar immediately. Most of our customers choose to save 100% on their energy bills. And that's part of the beauty of community solar is that you have the ability to do that. So depending on the size of your installation and the energy systems in your home, you can offset 100% of your total energy costs. This is absolutely true for community because it's infinitely scalable. If you want a system on site at your house, you're limited to 25 kilowatts. If you buy into a community solar farm, you can have as much power as you need. So in New York State, we are a green energy friendly state. New York State is upholding a mandate that 50% of our power come from renewable resources by 2030. Renovus is right in the thick of making that happen. And a lot of that is due to programs like NYSERDA's New York Sun, which are frankly giving people money to install solar systems. There's a direct incentive that NYSERDA offers to every installation, including community solar systems, that directly offsets those costs. So solar panels are also dropping in price precipitously, and that is happening on a consistent basis. It has leveled out a little bit in the past couple of years, but prices are still falling, not quite as fast as they were, in the 2010 to 2015 range, but they are still falling. So using solar power, you can offset all of your electrical charges. And frankly, if you wanted to, you could live a fossil fuel free lifestyle, which would save you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Because of all the electrical devices that we use and even sometimes drive, electrical demand is at an all-time high. And the advent of efficient appliances and all those things means that solar systems can still supply your energy needs, but not be prohibitively expensive. So you can get a relatively large system that meets the needs of all of your energy efficient items in your house, and it won't be crazy expensive for you. And offsetting those current usage and doubling down on investing in electric heating systems, et cetera, can increase those savings even more. So let's quickly go over just how does solar work and all the components to a solar system. First, 3 components for a solar system. We got solar panels themselves. In this scenario, we're talking about community solar, those panels exist out in a field offsite. Then secondarily, we have an inverter. That's a DC to AC inverter that helps us get that power onto the grid where you can use it. Some systems even use batteries. So batteries in your house can help offset power outages. And also, if you're in an area with demand charges or on-off pricing, they can decrease those charges for you as well. Every single solar system that we install is attached to a utility meter. That means that every single solar system we install is attached to the grid. So we don't actually install off-grid systems at all. The reason being, it makes it really hard for us to stand behind the workmanship that we guarantee. We have lifetime workmanship guarantees for these systems, 25-year production guarantees for these systems. And when they're off-grid, it's a lot harder to monitor them, and it's a lot harder to be proactive about fixing them. So as a result of everything being tied to the grid, obviously every system is connected to the grid. The reality, though, is because everything is connected to the grid, you get energy credits for every kilowatt hour you produce, and those savings go directly to your wallet and offset your bottom line. So here's the beauty of community solar. Around 80% of viable solar customers in the United States do not have viable places to put panels. So meaning they would be financially able to purchase panels if they wanted to, but they don't have the right roof. Maybe it's too shady. Maybe their roof is old. Maybe they live in an apartment. So 80% of the folks who want to go solar in the United States can't. And that used to just be the paradigm that we lived by. But the reality is that community solar opens up solar to everybody. So every single person who pays an electrical bill can go solar with community solar. The reason is an offsite farm can power any meter within the utility zone. And we'll go into that in a little bit more detail here in a moment. But the real core takeaway is that it doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter if you rent or if you own. If you have a brand spanking new roof, no roof at all, you can use community solar to offset your electrical expenses. So we introduced, Renovus as a company, introduced community solar in 2015. This is a picture of the first ever ownership model community solar farm built in New York State. It's a drone photography that we did when that site was being completed. This is right down the road from our office. If you look back there in the distance, you can actually see Milliken Station, the coal-powered power plant that's actually being decommissioned and transformed into a solar farm as we speak. But this here in front of you is the first ever community solar farm. This farm was actually doubled in size within a year due to demand and serves about 90 homes. So the concept behind community solar farming is relatively simple, and it all predicates upon what's called energy credits. But first and foremost, power is generated on a regional solar farm. So you own panels on that farm. So you might own 20, 30, 40 panels, and those panels are yours. If you wanted to, you could walk out into that solar farm and rip them off and take them home if you wanted to. They are your panels, and no one else has access to them. The power generated by those panels creates what are called energy credits when that solar is transferred into the grid. So there is a meter on site that basically monitors the production of that farm. The production is then translated into energy credits by the Utility and Public Service Commission. And then those energy credits are digitally transferred to your bill. So for every kilowatt hour that is produced on the farm, you get a certain amount of energy credit that will offset your consumption at your home. What we do is we work backwards from your bills. So we look at your bill, we say, hey, how much are you paying every single month? How many panels will we need to offset those charges? And then we give you that system. So you can erase 100% of your energy bills without a single panel on your roof or property. This is a completely transformative technology for folks. It means that everyone in New York State can go solar. Everyone can get as much solar as they need. You're not limited to 25 kW systems on your roof or in your yard. And as a result, everybody can save thousands and thousands of dollars on utility bills. So we do operate under a few restrictions, and those restrictions currently have to do with utility zones. So one of the rules with community solar is that the solar farm that you are going to be using has to be located in the utility zone of which you reside. And it also needs to be serviced by the company of which you use. So right now, Renovus has we will have 13 solar farms that have been built over the course of the past 4 years. And those solar farms are all located in NYSEG and National Grid territory, specifically in Zone C, surrounding Ithaca, Tompkins, Broome counties, and the entire southern tier. We built our first ever National Grid farm this year, sold out in record time for us, and we are planning on a few more next year. We will have built at least 5 solar farms this year, all throughout the Zone C for both National Grid and NYSEG customers. With that said, there are some changes coming down the pipeline in regards to zone limitations, but for right now, we are basically operating under the assumption that the old rules will continue, and folks need to be within that utility zone in order to leverage that power. We will be expanding this year, though. We have plans in the works to build farms in Rochester Gas and Electric territory, so up there in Zone B, and also in Con Edison territory down in Zone G. There's also been talks about building a farm for Zone E folks as well, but right now the only concrete plans we have for 2019 are in Zone B, Zone G, and Zone C of that map you see there on the left. What that means is that the entire center third of New York State can go solar with Renovus community solar farms. Those farms will cost less than your electrical bill and give you free power for 25 years. It's an incredibly powerful opportunity for people to go green, reduce fossil fuel consumption, and save tons of money. So speaking of that, it's all about value, right? We're not out here to give people warm and fuzzy about saving the environment, although that is extremely important and it's a major part of the passion that we have behind what we do. But the reality is that the reason people go solar is because it saves them money. It's economically viable. It's a smart investment. So with community solar, you don't need to have a roof. You don't need to have a big backyard. If everything's covered in trees, you're good to go. You don't have any size limitations. You can have as large of a system as you need. Your upfront investment, if you finance the system, will eliminate your electric bills entirely. And in 99.9% of the cases, that loan payment that you will be liable to pay on that system will be as much as 30 to 40% less than your old electrical costs were. So with those solar farms, Renovus covers installation, operations, insurance, and we cover the flexibility side too. If you move, for example, if you say, hey, I'm downsizing or I'm moving to a beautiful lake house of my dreams over on Cayuga Lake, we will be able to transfer the energy credits that you have accumulated to that new meter, and your new house will be powered by this community solar farm as long as it's within that same zone. So what does that mean from a financial perspective? Because I know, everyone's like, okay, well, what about the cost? What happens here? So we're going to use a random customer of ours. Let's just call him Dave. Dave is a pretty standard customer, meaning that he pays about $120 a month in his electrical bills. So that's around $1,400, give or take, a year. And over 25 years, he's spending more than $36,000 on electricity. This is assuming standard inflation and increases of electric costs. So if Dave decided to go solar with one of our community solar farms, he would have access to a couple of these tax credits. First, he would have access to New York State tax credits, meaning that he could offset up to 25% of the total cost or up to $5,000 of his system's cost, and that would come back to Dave in New York State tax credits the year afterwards. We also have federal tax credits. Federal tax credits have no cap, and they make up 30% of the total cost of a system. Granted, the federal tax credit is set to start stepping down after next year. So 2019 is the last opportunity we have to take advantage of the full tax credit picture here. So $5,000 from New York State and up to 30% of the project cost from federal tax credits. Mind you, it's important to point out that these are not handouts. These are your tax dollars that are coming back to you because you invested in a renewable energy system. It's your money. You've already paid the government. It's just coming back to you in the form of a tax return. So if we look at Dave's hypothetical system, he would need about a 7.82 kilowatt system, pretty standard for us in order to offset that $120 a month. That's about 23 panels on one of our solar farms. What you see over there on the left is actually solar farm 2, so it's the second solar farm we ever built. Dave's system sticker costs about $17,000, but the federal tax credit means that he's going to be getting back just over $5,000. And the New York State tax credit means that he's going to be getting back just shy of $5,000. So altogether, his actual solar investment is around $7,600. Granted, he would have to finance the full amount and then reapply those tax credits to his solar system, but ultimately, those savings are huge for him. So if we look at his monthly loan costs, it would be about $65 a month. His utility meter fees, which unfortunately can't go away. We can't erase those. NYSEG, National Grid, RG&E, they're all still going to charge you meter fees. But now his cost of electricity is $0. He also is viable to pay an operation and maintenance fee for the farm, which shakes out to about $20 a month, give or take, usually a little bit less. So immediately, this is day one for Dave. Day one after he has signed up for a Renovus community solar farm, his old monthly bill was around $120 a month. His new monthly bill is $100 a month. That $100 month bill can be financed over 5, 10, 15 years, whatever you want. And then ultimately, what Dave is going to be able to do is after year 10 or whenever that loan expires, he is going to be able to get free power and only pay that $15 meter fee and the solar farm maintenance fees. So if we could look at this kind of big picture, his current electric bill, $120 a month, $36,000 over 25 years. Now his electric bill is $0. His cost yearly is about $1,200. And from year 15 onward, his cost is about $350, meaning that his total cost has dropped to $18,350 over 25 years. That means a 20% savings year 1 through 15, assuming a 15-year loan, 70% savings on his overall costs years 15 to 25, and just north of $17,500 in savings over 25 years. So by investing in an offsite solar system, Dave has maintained his flexibility to move if he wants to. He has immediately reduced his bills by 20%. He has offset created a significant carbon footprint offset for himself and his family. He's given himself the flexibility to transfer to electric vehicles or electric heat and save even more money in the future. And even if he doesn't do that, he is going to be saving a ton of money, over $17,500 over 25 years. So really the gist of all of this is that this is an option for you. We are going to be in the process, so this number actually needs to be updated. It tells you how fast we're moving. We are in the process of building our 12th solar farm right now. We will likely be breaking ground on our 13th solar farm before the end of the year. We have plans to build another 5 next year. We are moving at a very quick pace, and frankly, people all across the state want this and are buying it up in droves. So for us, it's really important to let everybody know that solar is an option for them. Community solar, we're going to expand it all across the state. And it's an extremely powerful option to save tens of thousands of dollars in some cases and feel good about it while you're going. Because these are community power with local benefits. These solar systems back up the grid. Renovus actually pays NYSEG and National Grid to upgrade their grid over the course of the life of these systems. So we're paying to upgrade the grid while people get to save money. That local power helps stability, creates local jobs, and most importantly, saves all of these people tons of money over the course of their life of their investment. So as promised, we wanted to get you guys back to work or whatever you were planning on doing over the course of the rest of the day. Quick and easy conversation about community solar. So also we have Chris Carrick talking about the NYSERDA grant. That's correct, Chris. The NYSERDA grant would reduce the cost in addition to the state and federal tax incentives. So that is actually a great question. Generally, we would defer folks to look at their specific tax situation. We are very adamant that we are not tax professionals. So some tax professionals would say that you can take the federal and state tax exemptions on the full system costs before NYSERDA. Some would say you should take it after NYSERDA. That is up to you. So in this case, what we did is we looked at the full system cost. But that system cost, that NYSERDA grant does reduce the cost of the system additionally. It's a per watt cost, depending on which NYSERDA block we're in. So that money actually comes off the top of the system cost and comes to Renovus when that system is completed, but we immediately charge you less for it on the front end. So that was a great question, Chris. And if you have any other questions about that, obviously I'd be happy to reach out to you and clarify that more if you would like. So for what it's worth, I understand that this is an interesting time of the year for folks. It's obviously not the time that people are thinking about solar, but the reality is that even when there's snow on the ground, these systems are performing. We design systems in a way to make sure that they are producing all throughout the year and meeting your bills all throughout the year. So if you are interested in going solar with Renovus or just learning more about community solar farms, I will send you an email after this webinar with some contact information. If you're interested in talking to our team, seeing exactly what a system would cost for your home, what we'll do is we'll ask for a copy of your bills, and then we'll work backwards from there. I got a question from Guy. Roughly the construction costs for dollar installed watts or kilowatts. So we do on a per watt basis. I'll be honest with you, Guy, the price does change a little bit depending on which community solar farm you are on, because each one of them has slightly different interconnection costs. But generally what you can expect for a community solar system is you're going to be paying roughly around, I would say, $2.10, maybe as high as $2.15 per watt for that solar system. Again, that depends on each individual farm, but to be sure, you know, we obviously are very clear about that up front for folks. Also got a question from Terry Denman. Have you figured out the cost of NYSEG's $15 into maintenance and slide with Solar Dave? Sorry, Terry, I did include that meter fee in there. So that is a total amount of cost that he will still be viable for. When we're talking about that $350 that he'd be paying a year, that counts the meter fee and also the operations and maintenance fees. So all those things are factored in there. Again, if you have any specific questions about how this would apply for you and what it would shake out, what your monthly expenses would shake out to be, our team would happily take a look at that and give you all the information you need. Really, obviously, you're not on the hook for anything. We're big believers in education and letting the numbers do the talking for folks. So if you're curious about exactly how it shakes out for you, we would be happy to draft up kind of a quick little summary for you, and you can do with it what you will. All right, very cool. Well, thank you for all those questions. Thank you for being here with us today. As always with our webinars, we are going to be sending out a recorded version of this presentation later today. So if you want to share it with anybody, or you want to put it out on social media, or just save it for a rainy day to learn about solar again, I know we covered a lot of information. I'll be able to send you that link, and you'll be able to get that. Actually, we have a couple of other questions here. Well, thank you, Guy. That was very nice. I appreciated you being here. Also, Terry, you mentioned, what if you happen to pass away before the 25 years is up? That's actually a really great question, Terry. So the beauty of these community solar systems is that they can be gifted. So say, for example, you put the solar system in your will and you said, oh, if I happen to pass away, I would really love for this system to get transferred to one of my children, or my spouse, or even a charity of your choice is actually an option that we've seen before. So if somebody passes away and they say, hey, I would really love to have my solar system start sending its power to this church or the United Way or something along those lines, that can all be worked out with your lawyer within your will. Granted, Renovus will happily work on transferring those credits wherever you need to go. The beauty, though, is that you don't need to wait 25 years to see savings on these systems. You start getting savings year one. So even if you are later in life and you think that potentially you might not be able to live out the full life of that system, the system is guaranteed to produce at a certain level for 25 years, but we know that the panels will produce and function for as many as 35 years or more. So the reality is, if you pass away or decide to give the system up for whatever reason because you're moving out of state, you have two options. One, we can resell it for you, or B, you can gift it to somebody once you've realized all those savings and those tax benefits. The payback period on these systems is 6 to 8 years, depending on your specific tax scenario. So it's extremely valuable. Terry, you're welcome. Happy to help. So again, everyone, my name is Ryan McCune. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing here, and I would be happy to answer some more of your questions. Oh, Guy, you have another question. Can you own more than your house consumption needs? Yes, you can. There's not any particular reason why you would want to, though. So unfortunately, the way we work in New York State is that you cannot resell the power to the utility company for anything other than credits, energy credits. So if you had some reason why you wanted to bank energy credits, maybe you were planning on installing baseboard electric heat or buying an electric vehicle down the line, you might want to oversize your system now, planning for that later. Or if you were about to sell your house and you're going to move into a larger house and you realize that house might have a more electrical demand, obviously you might want to oversize. But there isn't, pending oversizing for future consumption, there isn't any inherent value to oversizing your system now. So if you only needed 8 kW, there's no real reason why you would need or want to have 20 kW unless you were planning on using that extra capacity in the near future. So I hope that answers your question, Guy. That's a good one. Cool. So if you guys have these questions coming in, I can continue to answer them here for a couple more minutes. Happy to help in whatever way I can. Like I said, we'll send this presentation out shortly. I'll hang around for a couple more minutes to answer any questions. And for those of you who attended, I really appreciate it. It was nice digitally meeting you, so to speak. And we're always here to help if you need us. All right. Well, it looks like we have only a few folks left. If any of you have any questions, this is last chance for you. Otherwise, I would happily send the presentation or answer these questions later. Thanks for coming to join us. We'll be shutting down here in a second, and we hope that you guys have a safe and happy rest of the week and a very exciting and friendly Thanksgiving. Cheers.